Black comedian rants about Dave Chappelle. So I will not say his name because I have no idea who he is. And I'm pretty sure nobody knows him and nobody will remember him in the future. And I didn't say he's gay and he is friends with the trans community. I have no idea if that matters or not, but whatever. The first thing that he says is,
Look, I get it. Everybody got to create a boogeyman to sell tickets, but it's not true. Who's getting cancelled for what they said? What does that mean? That people are mad on Twitter? Everybody's fine. These grown men are fine.
first of all, Dave Chappelle has balls. So he does what he does because he's not scared. But do you know the protest at Netflix and do you know why that didn't work? Because Dave Chappelle at Netflix is the only comedian that makes a lot of money. If they don't have some good entertainment, they will go bankrupt. If you saw Dave Chappelle's special, you will know that he didn't attack any trans person. And you really expect us to take you seriously when today is enough that you say a man is a man and a woman is a woman? And you get attacked just like J.K. Rowling. And sure, she has a lot of money and she doesn't give a fuck. But if you're not famous enough and you don't have enough money, you will get cancelled. Or better said, purged. And I understand that Gina Carano, from what I know, didn't attack the trans community. But let's be real, today's conflict is not because of racism, because of LGBTQ, because of other stuff like that. Everything is because of ideology and control. I don't want to talk about this, there's a lot of videos that talk about this. The ESG score is behind everything, meaning that the government wants more control over you. Or let's make it simple. You will not own anything and you will be happy, even if you like it or not. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, don't tell me that people are not cancelled or purged, because there's a lot of comic book artists that are purged. There's a lot of smaller actors, internet famous people and many other. But you are right, they are not cancelled because they talk against LGBTQ or because they talk about race or other stuff like that. You get cancelled because you don't support the right ideology. And I'm pretty sure this black comedian also supports that ideology. Because I'm pretty sure if a trans person said that they found it funny, he will not agree. The black comedian also adds,
I think, a lot of times, people who offer nothing truthful or meaningful about themselves then complain about society at large and create this boogeyman.
sure, ignore all the protests. Ignore the news outlets who call you a transphobe. Or even you, a fellow black man who attacks Dave Chappelle. Until now, he never said what exactly was the problem. What did Dave Chappelle say? Because I saw the special. Also, if you know Dave Chappelle, in the past he used to make fun of everything, including white people. And I'm white. And he still was one of my favorite comedians. Now he makes fun of LGBTQ and he does it because of the outrage. You know, when somebody tells you that it's not okay to joke about whatever, but that whatever usually makes the joke even better? Let me give you a simple example. In school, you usually have a very, very bad professor. If you even dare to move, you will get punished. But if your friend does some stupid jokes to make you laugh, you will think that is the most funny thing ever. The idea of comedy is to make fun of everything. And you especially make fun of the stuff that you shouldn't. The black comedian also adds,
It's like, listen, that's the most urgent thing in your life? God bless you. I'm tired of hearing it.
What? Jokes? I'm pretty sure yes. I think he's a comedian, so the most important thing in his life are jokes. If you are tired of hearing it, then what's the problem? Don't listen to it. As you can see, Dave Chappelle is doing a great job. A lot of people like it, and he makes a lot of money. The black comedian also adds,
Chappelle, do you know what comes up when you Google your name, bro? That's the legacy. Your legacy is a bunch of opinions on trans. It's an odd hill to die on. And it's like, hey, bro, who the fuck are you?
he's Dave Chappelle, motherfucker! Even before this, I think everybody knew who Dave Chappelle is. You see him all the time with a lot of famous people. I don't think he was a nobody, and this is why Netflix wanted him. He brings the money. And I searched Google. I saw Dave Chappelle Wikipedia, IMDb, Dave Chappelle's tickets, I didn't see anything about trans. Do you know what happens with Google? If you Google Dave Chappelle trans a lot, of course you will only see that. So I think the problem is what you are searching on Google, not what Google actually has on Dave Chappelle. Because most of the time people just want to see his show. The black comedian finishes by saying,
Who do you fuck? Who do you like to do? Childish jokes aside, who the fuck are you? It's just kind of played, but he's choosing to die on a hill, so alright, let him.
dude, Dave Chappelle made so much money, I don't think he cares anymore. He is old and he is rich as fuck. Real people with a brain do not care. People like you only care, for now, because it's the right ideology. You know, support the current thing, have the same ideology. Dave Chappelle's jokes doesn't harm anybody. But thinking that you are more important than a joke does. If the LGBTQ cannot be criticized or joked about, then that means they want special treatment. They don't want to be like everybody else, they want to be different. For example, a lot of people wanted LGBTQ in movies. Now that they have LGBTQ in movies, they have to be some perfect human beings. They should never have defects, nobody should be mean to them. For example, in video games, you have all types of people. Usually everybody dies, everybody is hurt, nobody is the exception. But if you have an LGBTQ character, for example in Persona 5 Gold, two gay guys try to pick up Ryuji, and after he refuses, they take him by force. So apparently this was an issue because they showed the gay guys in a bad light. So, there's a lot of characters shown in a bad light. So this is why I hate when I see LGBTQ stuff in video games, in movies, because they always want special treatment. There will always be somebody complaining. So then you complain that nobody puts them in the movies, in the video games. Well, of course nobody wants to put them in any content ever, because you will always see people having an issue with that. How can you make good content if you have so many restrictions? The idea of a movie or video game is for entertainment. If LGBTQ, if black people, if females are always shown in a bad light, I would understand. But that's not the case here. If you played Persona 5, you will know. Especially if you go to the drag queen bar. You will also find LGBTQ characters that are shown in a good light. Creativity and originality cannot exist if you always put limits. And if LGBTQ wants to be normal, that means they should accept that they also have defects, just like everybody else. But if you prefer special treatment, then just make your own movies. And I hope you understand something. When I talk about LGBTQ, I talk about the brand, not the LGBTQ in real life. It's the same thing when people talk about Black Lives Matter. BLM does not represent the black community. BLM is actually by large mansions. The BLM organization was used by a few people to buy large mansions. They did not help the black community. They just divided people even more, so that the founders can buy large mansions. And that's all. And this is the issue now. When you talk about LGBTQ, BLM, feminism, LGBTQ became a brand. A brand used to force their ideology. Same as BLM, same as feminism. If you talk about all of these movements, you will notice something. Feminism. Nobody cared when Gina Carano or J.K. Rowling was attacked. LGBTQ. They don't talk about Daphne Dorman. She is a trans woman that was Dave Chappelle's friend. Dave Chappelle even helped her. She was invited to open at Dave Chappelle comedy show in San Francisco. And when Dave Chappelle was attacked saying that he's punching down, she replied,
Punching down requires you to consider yourself superior to another group. He doesn't consider himself better than me in any way. He isn't punching up or punching down. He's punching lines. That's his job and he's a master at his craft.
And the LGBTQ brand didn't like it. She was attacked until she committed suicide. So how the fuck can you say that LGBTQ brand is pro-LGBTQ? When they made a trans person kill herself because they didn't agree with her. And for the last part, the BLM movement, do I really need to say anything? That movement only helped a few people get large mansions. And they always attacked everybody who said something bad about them. So in case you didn't already know, now I gave you a few examples that feminism doesn't support women, the LGBTQ brand doesn't support the LGBTQ in real life, and the BLM movement, even if at first they had good intentions, at least that was the target, to stop police corruption, to stop the racism against the black community. I think these are issues that we all agree with. But BLM showed very fast that they don't care about that. They're just a brand. They just wanted to make money. And some people from that brand even destroyed their own community. I don't care that much because I'm not from America, but I hate the hypocrisy. And most of all, I hate the corporation who always supports the current thing. But you cannot always blame the corporations when actually the government is the one in charge. And they will always use this stuff to control the people. Sorry that this video became so political, but apparently we live in a time where you have to explain your jokes. And every time you make a joke about LGBTQ, BLM, feminism, you also must explain to the brain dead people that you're not actually against women if you are against feminism. You are not against black people if you are against BLM. You are not against LGBTQ if you are against the LGBTQ brand. The most important thing that you must notice when I talk about this is the fact that rich people are not affected. The people in power are not affected. And I know I should ignore this type of subjects. Life will be so much easier if you just kiss the ass of the government. You never say anything bad about the corporation. You always support the current thing. You should always want to see gay people kissing even if you are not gay. And you should always want to stop the people who try to rise against this ideology. But I can't. I try to only talk about video games and anime. And I talk about Dave Chappelle because I like stand-up comedy, and I like Dave Chappelle. But not because he started making fun of trans people. I used to like Dave Chappelle a long time ago. I like him since I was a kid. I grew up with hip-hop and stand-up comedy. And there was, and still is, a lot of black people that are very good at their job. I mean comedy and good music. But it's almost impossible to talk about this stuff without talking about the new ideology. And also, I used to live in communism. And a lot of people died during the revolution just so I can say whatever I want. I understand that there's a time and a place and some limitations, but this Western ideology takes it to a whole new level. We have less freedom because of the government. We have less money because of the government. Now we're not even allowed to have entertainment, so this is why it's hard for me sometimes to not say stuff that will probably annoy the wrong people. And for now, it's not like I have anything to lose. My internet life is not that important for me. Anyway, let me leave you with something ironic from the black comedian. I tried to find out if he was funny, but yeah, you probably know the answer to that. The irony is that he had a show in 2011 called Sticks and Stones, so he didn't try to copy Dave Chappelle. Anyway, it's a stupid joke, but he says that these are just words.
Gerard, you're really verbally abusive. And I was like, bitch, these are just words. All right? Sticks and stones.